It's a question that's directed to each of the individual candidates, but if I can summarize it, it's basically asking to describe what your experience will add as an enhancement to the town council.
Fantastic. Well, I mentioned earlier that I'm a bit younger than most of the rest of the council. And so my body of experience is somewhat different than the rest of the council. That this is the first position I've ever run for. I don't have any official public service experience. So where my background lies is not only in connecting with the youth in Ashland, and something that I think is incredibly important to make sure that all of the constituencies in Ashland are represented and represented well, but also, I do have a business background. I mentioned that I left Ashland briefly, and when I did so, I traveled to Russia seeking out internship opportunities. And while I was there, I worked for McCann Erickson and BBDO, and those are two of the largest advertising companies in the world. But while I was over there, I realized that I didn't really like the model that most large advertising companies use, and that they really look out for the big fish in the pond while rejecting small businesses that might not be able to afford to pay them their many hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars advertising projects. So one of the things that I did was when I came back to Ashland, I decided that I was going to do what I could to help small businesses find appropriate advertising options for them. And so a lot of my experience comes from working with small businesses in the town and connecting the businesses and the residents to the best of my ability. Now, I do have experience with leadership while working in the college, and I'm certainly going to draw on that experience as well. But I think my greatest asset here is my ability to talk with the businesses in the town and to make sure that that the town, the businesses, and the residents are all well connected together, and that we can be a big, happy community.
You sound like me.
And the same question directed toward Faye Pritchard. What do you think your experience adds to the town council?
I think I bring three kinds of experience to my work on town council. I have served as a member of town council for 12 years, as the mayor for 10 years. I am a font of institutional memory, some of which I wish I could get rid of. But I've done my homework for 12 years. I have loved this town. I have cared for this town. I've given up family vacations. I have spent a lot of time understanding the issues. And I think I know how this town runs very well, and I've been very committed to it. I also bring the experience of being a regional worker. In the last 12 or so years, the council has made a really concerted effort to not be an island. We are part of the Richmond region. We have reached out to others around us. I know practically every elected official in the 9 jurisdictions, well, we are one of 9 jurisdictions that surround us. If we have a problem, if we need to buy something on an economy of scale, I can call someone from Powhatan or New Kent and find out how other small localities do what we do. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time because we have a lot of contacts who've already done things that we would like to do. So I have those relationships. And finally, I have my experience as a teacher. I teach critical thinking,
30 seconds.
Research, writing, and writing, and I have learned over the course of time to sometimes sit back and look at things very carefully and make sure that I've looked at all sides of an issue before I make an emotional decision, because emotional quick decisions, in my case, are almost always the wrong ones.
And to Terry Winston-Abri, the same question. What does your experience, what can you tell us about your experience, and what can you add to the town council?
Well, I don't want to brag, but if you all will see, if you'll get a flyer, if you don't have a flyer, these are some of the contributions that I've made over the years. When the lady wrote it out for me, she said I had given her some information, and she said, well, you don't want to put everything because people are not going to read all of that stuff. And so some of the things that I've done, let me put it this way. I feel that I am open to all people. I think that people can identify with me on lots of different topics and the ways that I think and feel about people in general, which means that I care. I care about this town. And so whenever I've made a decision, when I was on council previously, whenever I made a decision about anything, I based it on what I felt was what was best in some cases for the community, in most cases for the town itself. I have worked with young people, senior citizens, and people my age in many different ways. In terms of voting, helping people to make sure that people are able to vote, those people who can't get to the polls, for example, doing absentee ballots, doing voter registration. When I served on council before, having academic achievement programs and identifying people in the community who had not been recognized, the unsung heroes of town. And to be able to have, and sometimes it may not sound like it, but to be able to have an understanding of what is actually happening in town and to try to make things better.
I'm sorry, I'll let you go.